Hey, welcome back guys to another week at the homestead here. So this week we're changing the oil on this old Ford here. Should be a piece of cake. No, it's not going to be. Ford does things different. They like people to struggle. They like people to use foul language. They like to make it just absolutely difficult for you if you have to work on it. So that way you don't work on it, you take it to the dealer and they do it. I'm not that. I'm not going to do that. This isn't mine. This is a friend of mine. It's his mom. We've talked about this before on the channel where he was in an accident and he lost vision, or lost most of his vision in his one eye, and he was born blind in the other eye. So usually he would change it for her. Obviously with that going on, he's not going to change it for safety reasons, and safety reasons for him and her and this, don't need to be down there draining the transmission and then adding oil to the motor. It's just not going to work, right? So I went ahead and changed it for her. I noticed on the drive over here that her washer fluid light was on, so I went ahead and did that too. And then I noticed when I popped the hood that her battery terminals were a little bit corroded, so I cleaned those up and then sprayed some anti-corrosion on them. It's just the little things here and there, maintenance. So we'll get this thing up on the ramps and then get the oil changed on it. And then probably next week, the next week's video is going to be a little different. It's going to talk about what's going on, what happened to in 2024, what I have planned for 2025, kind of some medical things that I've got going on currently. Just kind of fill you guys in, because I don't know if any of you noticed or not, but there wasn't a video last week. I was just really sick and I wasn't feeling good. So I got some medical things that are just going on. I got a surgery coming up that I'm gonna have to miss some more YouTube. I'm gonna try and get in there if I can. They're saying the surgery should be pretty basic. I plan on going to work the next day. They won't let me go back to work same day due to the anesthesia, but we'll see what happens. I plan on going to work the next day, and if I can, then obviously YouTube will be able to keep going, but that's coming up in January. Like I said, we'll talk more on that next week, but for right now, let's get this thing up on ramps. I'm not going to show you guys much. If there's anything fun and exciting, I'll bring you in and show you, but it's just not going to be fun. It's not at all. So, all right, let's get to it then. Okay, we got that done. Oil's changed. Wow. If you're an engineer at Ford, reach out to me. I just want to talk, that's all. I just want to talk. Like, why do you need to put the oil filter at the front of the motor where you can't reach it and you got to take this cover off and get up in there past your elbow to get the filter off, and then you put this nice little drip pan so that way when you pull the filter off, I would assume oil is supposed to catch there and then run down and it kind of directs it out of there, but oil never even touched it. It came out somewhere completely else, so I got oil all over the floor. Yeah, if you work for Ford, reach out. I just want to talk. So on the way over here, I noticed her light was on to add some windshield washer fluid. So we're going to see if we can't spill this everywhere and top it off for her. Perfect. All right. Only dumped a little bit. Just clean up, there we go. Clean that up a little bit. Yeah, perfect. I also went ahead and sprayed some sprayed some anti-corrosion on the battery terminals for her. They were a little corroded. So clean those up, sprayed some anti-corrosion on there. It will, awesome, great. Again, Ford, thank you for doing very, very less, or just a little bit less than a gallon, so that way you have this left over. That's why I drive Chevys. But I went and sprayed the anti-corrosion on the batteries the battery terminals for her, so that way She doesn't have to worry about that anymore. Change oil for her, top this off. Now let's get it fired up, take it back. Then we got to, I want to try some stuff with this old salamander here and see what we can do. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Okay, so we're on to the next thing. I got this salamander here on loan from a friend. If you guys remember, is it the last video, I think? Maybe the video, it was the last video where the propane heater just decided it was going to try and burn the shop down. So I got something else that could possibly burn the shop down. Yay. This is on loan, it's temporary. Eventually, this is going to get insulated. This section here is going to be completely temperature controlled, meaning heat and AC. The other big section out there is just going to be heat. So this is just temporary, but it's got to get us through this year because this isn't going to happen probably for a couple of years. I mean, it's going to be very expensive. I got to save up some money, but it'll happen at some point. So got this on loan. Eventually I'm going to get my own, be a much bigger one, but we're going to deal with what we got. Got to take and this is it. She's turning the century old here. No on-off switch, no temperature. Plug in, and it's got looks like a mini fuse right there. Plug it in, turn it on, it's good to go. I wonder what year this is. I'll try and read some of this stuff, but can't really see any of that. It's fine. Warning. Don't know what any of the rest of that says. That's okay. I mean, somebody tried to do a real quick cheapo, I don't even know what you call it, rebuild, I guess, on it. And they just sprayed it with spray paint. Not even high temp spray paint, apparently. Burns right off. So that's fine. But this, it doesn't blow hard or get hot. And it's because this is turned all the way down. He told me it was. Told me I could turn it up. Problem is he can't really see, so he couldn't tell me which one of these I would turn to turn it up. This one, I'm going to assume is the drain. This is kind of like a fuel pump here. I'm going to assume that's the drain. So I got 50-50 on which one it is. This one looks like it's all the way in, but I feel like that's what holds it all together, because looking around it, there's nothing else that would hold this on. So I think that's what holds this thing together. So I'm gonna turn this, see what happens. I don't know. Could be good, could be bad. Let's find out. So it's gonna get a little noisy in here, and I do apologize, but I do wanna turn this on, let it run, and then while I'm turning that, so I can tell if it's making a difference. So I turned it one way, and it must have killed all the fuel to it, because it made a new noise. It sounded like the flame went out, then it blew a little bit of smoke. turned it the other way, you could hear the flame reignite, and it kind of just get stronger, I guess. So I think that's what it was. We got a lot of heat coming out of there. I am gonna kind of turn it a little bit more and see what happens, really. I mean, this thing's so small, it's not gonna be fuel efficient whatsoever. We're gonna have to crank it just to heat this little section over here where I do all my work in the wintertime. So it is what it is. So again, we're turning this one right here. Okay, so we definitely got it going better. It's got a god-awful rattle to it. I'm just trying to figure out where it was. It's missing a screw. There it is. It's missing a screw. So, wow, that definitely made a difference. It had been sitting in this room. Let me put you guys back on the tripod here. Ooh, there we go. So it had been sitting in this room probably 10 minutes, just blowing before I brought you guys on to try and warm this up a little bit so that way I could work out here and not freeze. And it just wasn't doing it. So I was like, all right, we gotta crank this thing up. So I cranked it up and it went for, I don't know, probably what, like 4 or 5 minutes, if that. And I can already tell the difference out here in this area. Now, it's not insulated so it gets cold quick, but whatever. I'm gonna see if I can find a screw that'll fit that. If I can't, I'll probably just self-tapper it because it's just tin metal. It's not really anything special. So, and that'll help tremendously with the vibration and the noise. So let's do that. I'm not gonna show you guys. I'll bring it back when I'm done. Alright, so I did put a screw in that, and that did fix that problem, so that's awesome. Just want to show you guys real quick. Yeah, it's turned up. Might be a little too high. Before, I'll turn around and show you. It doesn't show it too well on camera, but that thing, that thing is before it didn't do that. So I would say that it's turned up. We might have to actually turn it down a little bit. I'm gonna let it run and see what it does. If it doesn't get any worse than that, I think I'll be okay. But if it does, then I'm gonna definitely have to turn it down a little bit. But let's let it run a little bit and see what it does. It is getting warmer in here for sure. Okay, here's what I did. While this was running to see if it was gonna get extremely hot or not, it didn't. I went ahead and I cut a hole in this wall, and I'm going to put the salamander on the other side of that wall because it's quite noisy. I'm going to put it on the other side of that wall. It'll help with the noise a little bit, not a lot. And I know what you're saying. Well, why would you cut a hole in your wall? That's, it's a big hole, and just put a salamander in. It's temporary. Let's not forget that. Temporary. This section of wall right here actually used to be some kind of doorway, and somebody built this to put it up, and they didn't do a very good job, and it was just rotted there anyways and needed fixed. I'm going to fix that before I do anything else with this building as far as insulation and whatnot. That's going to get fixed anyways once we get to that point. So for now, it's going to work. I'm going to put that over on the other side, run an extension cord, plug it in. It'll be warm without being really loud. So let's get that done. Okay, not sure what happened. I think there's a pinhole in the gas line that runs down into the tank, because when I put it out there and I started it up, it was kind of hit and then stop, hit and then stop, and then hit and then stop, and bunch of smoke. So what happened was I think the fuel was sloshing around in there, and it would go past where that hole is, and so instead of sucking air, it's just sucking fuel in there too, and it would light. And then once it dropped past that, it would go out. And so it was putting air pockets basically in the fuel line. So the easy way to tell if that's the case would be to go get some kerosene, because that's what's in this one, and fill it up and see if it runs. If it does, then we know that's our problem, and we could address that. If it doesn't, then we know it's something else, and it's we can address that. But I guess what I'm getting at is it's not working, and there's nowhere around here that sells kerosene. And I just don't feel like going to town right now. So we're just going to wait. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. I'm off for the next 3 weeks. So I have plenty of time to get this taken care of. And it'll give me some time to do a little bit of research too. See, if there's, something else. Maybe I did something when I was adjusting it, but I just can't really see that I was. Thanks for watching. And like I said, next week, we got some stuff to talk about. So, we'll see you guys next week.